Besser. Rossi had skipped away. Rossi tried to get it back. He turned it over. It's a 2-0. Suter to Besser. In with a shot at the goalpost. And the wild counter. 8 minutes left in overtime. Does Rossi have anything left in the tank? He'll charge into the slot. Left it up. Kaprizov scores! Carrillo! Kaprizov buries it. And the Wild beat the Canucks in overtime. 3-2 the final.
That was the call right here on the Fan. We spent a lot of time talking about it, much to the ignorance of Kevin Fallness, who apparently didn't even listen or care to acknowledge it. Billy Guerin is the general manager of the Minnesota Wild. He's kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. You're up out of your seat a lot when you watch, right? Were you up out of your seat when Kaprizov got it done for you in OT?
You know what? I'm not. I'm usually, for the most part. So honestly, I don't get too nuts about
Not
anything.
too animated, huh? Okay.
I was, usually I'm way up in the press box level. This particular game, we were on suite level.
Okay.
And I lose a lot up in the press box. I lose a lot of the noise and the feel.
Yep.
And being down on suite level, I got a lot more of it that game. And I was fired up. I was so pumped to win that game. I actually fist pumped. And I don't know. It was here's why. Yeah. Those types of games over the past few years have been tough for us. There have been times in games like that where we break and it goes the other way. I felt with everything going on in that game, the missed calls, both ways, the highs and lows, being behind twice, battling back. We just stuck with it. It was a playoff type game, and to see the guys just stick with the game plan the way they did, it made me really proud, and I was happy that they got the win because they deserve it.
Do you want to announce any contract extensions on the show today? I'm just asking. I'm not saying, I'm not prompting you, but just in case. You sound bubbly. You sound upbeat. The team has the best record in hockey. You've so far survived some injuries as well, which is never fun, and you have in a different way than certainly that you did a year ago, although the injuries were worse then. So I thought, well, I don't know. Everybody's raving about your coach. Maybe you want to announce a contract extension today.
No.
Okay.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Hey, look, that game, maybe coming out of the gates with a question about that game put me in a good mood because that was a hell of a hockey game.
It was.
I loved it.
Yep, it really was.
It was a hell of a game, and it wouldn't have been as good if we didn't win, but we won. And
yep.
I don't know. That was a good game. I was proud of our team that game.
Well, you know what it's a reminder of? I don't have to tell you this. The regular season is a slog. It goes on forever, and you can talk yourself out of any one game meaning anything for that reason, but there still are benchmarks within a season or games I think you look at and go, no, this does feel like it might mean a little more. What we do with it, what we have been doing with it, and as you say, perhaps indicative of the kind of game that you guys have not always won, that do need to be, in that sense, appreciated without losing your mind. There's not going to be, you're not going to raise a banner for it, but I think that's the kind of game you're talking about.
I would agree. You know what? That seldom happens, but I agree with you.
Yeah, well, it's early.
Seldom.
It's early in the conversation.
But you know what? It is. Look, it's a big game.
Billy? Bill Guerin? Bill Guerin?
You have to get up. You have to. Hey, Illusion.
I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to have Guardsy talk to Guerin because obviously we've got a little bit of a... he's on a roll early, so I don't want to lose any of that Guerin verve, any of that Guerin voltage early. We're out at 6 today. Vikings programming will, of course, follow us. We do have Thursday Night Football on the Fan, all kinds of NFC North implications. The Lions hosting the Green Bay Packers as well. If you have a question for the Wild GM, I might be able to include it via the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line. Just let us know via 64686. That is 64686. And we'll see if we can get to like a better signal. It sounds like Guardsy is still negotiating with Billy. Because usually with him, we've had pretty good phone success, but he might be, I don't know if he's walking around. I don't know exactly where he is. Because one of the things I do want to talk about with him, we devoted some time to yesterday and a lot of time on Tuesday's show with Luigi, with Lou Nanny as well. We tried again, you think? Give it another try?
I love when they have to move around all these different areas just for us. I don't know what kind of danger he's in right now, but he's helping us by moving around.
Is your mansion that big that, if you get to a certain spot, there's just going to be a dead spot there? Is that the problem?
I think we all have dead areas in our homes. Do we not?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Well, in fact, that's apparently the reason I've not been on the Dan Patrick Show for several years was what happened the last time I was on it. I hit a dead spot in my house. Dan Patrick does not take that well. And he didn't rip me, but he ripped his producer. The quote was something like, "How can this happen?" And I've never heard from Dan Patrick again after I hit the dead spot. Wow. So, it's dangerous, apparently. I hope that doesn't.
I think that's a little extreme.
I'm with you. I think it is, actually.
You should be back on the Dan Patrick show. Well, you know what? Hey, look, if they can't get over that, then
it's their loss.
Maybe that's their problem.
So I got to look at it for sure. I want to talk. It's funny because Tuesday, by coincidence, well, I guess it's not a coincidence because it's hard not to talk about Kaprizov a lot for all the obvious reasons, and we could talk about him with Louis every week. But one of the things he was talking about, and it played out so perfectly with the amount of time he played in the OT again. He continues to the skill is obvious. We get all that. But he continues to marvel. Then he was marveling of just about, obviously, his stamina and how often, he's willing to stay on the ice and stay on the ice longer, it appears, than a lot of other people. So give us your take on that, your own observations on that, and just how valuable, obviously, that has to be to any coach, that it doesn't seem like he ever gets tired.
Yeah, well, listen, it worked out. We would prefer he doesn't take 2.5, 3-minute shifts.
Right.
But you know what? In that type of game, in that type of atmosphere, and the situation, maybe there wasn't, I can't recall every single little second of it, but not a great time to change, and you're better off staying out there tired, and, the seconds just keep piling up. Oh, and then there's a break offensively, but then, you don't score on that one. You got to get back again.
Yep.
Oh, God, there's another break offensively, so you got to go for it. And sometimes, hey, stuff happens.
Doesn't sound like you're recommending it on a regular basis, though.
No, I'm not. But
it's fun.
Look, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, right.
And he does have the stamina. He's in incredible shape. Like he's, Dean Evison coached Ovechkin, and Dino used to always say he reminds him of Ovi because he'd have a 2-minute shift, 5-on-5, come back to the bench, and 30 seconds later he's fine, ready to go again. He said they're very similar in that aspect. So yeah, Kirill's in tremendous shape. So it worked, and
it obviously worked as well. I want to talk the defense. We were early in the show talking about defensive destiny. That all of these numbers, I'm sure, but I'll pass them along for the listeners as well to sort of further this point. You guys go in save percentage from 23rd a year ago to where you are now, which is 1. Gustafsson leads the league with a .929 save percentage and a goals against average of 2.04. You got the stingiest team defensively across the board, averaging just 2.32 goals per game. And I was likening it to when the Timberwolves emerged last year, it was because they found an identity that they'd really never had before, and it was as easily the best defensive team in the league. And in fact, part of their struggles this year early, relatively speaking, is they haven't been able to get back to that. The Vikings, a lot of their 10-2 success is top 5 defense in terms of points allowed per game, and number 1 in the league in interceptions, and tied, I think, for a second in takeaways. So speak to what you seem to be building here thus far. The season, again, is young, but, we're moving along now. And I have to believe with any sport, but certainly hockey, if your baseline can be that sort of fundamentally sound defense, everything else can look easier. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it definitely helps, and I think we've been doing a lot of things really well. Defending is one of them. The goalies have been playing spectacular. I think a lot of things go into that as well. We're not turning the puck over as much. We're coming out of our end a lot better. We're not taking as many penalties. All those things go into better defense. So it's not getting back into your defensive zone and being solid in there and the goalie's making saves. It's a full 200-foot game that contributes to better team defense. And I think, me personally, I think our puck management this year has been a complete 180 from a year ago. And that's a huge contributor in defensive numbers.
So that goes back to details, which we talked about before, right? In your view.
Yeah, details, honestly. And it's critical. Like you can play certain brands of hockey will win you games. Certain brands of hockey will win you championships. And puck management, detailed hockey, all those things that go together will take you a lot further than just, kind of being a one-trick pony.
How long is Eric Sinek going to be out?
What did we say? Week to week.
That's not very specific.
No, it's not.
That's awfully vague.
Very vague.
Would you call it a concerning injury? Is this a thing that you think might linger? Give us something. Give us a morsel.
I'm not concerned about his long-term health.
Okay.
What's that?
That's it? That's all you can give us?
That's all you get.
All right. What can you give me about this the guy you got in this big trade? I think I've got the name pronunciation now. It's Juracek, correct? Juracek?
Yeah.
David Juracek. Yeah. So I'm fascinated by him because it's not like I've studied any tape on him, but I've obviously read a lot since the deal. And there's this odd contradiction, I feel like, where clearly there was great interest in him, and clearly it became a bit of a bidding war, and you were willing to play a little bit, enough to get him. And yet, I'm still reading these analyses saying, well, there's questions about his skating ability, and I'm going, well, I'm confused. So, if there are
from the experts,
from the your favorite, the experts, you obviously have decided you don't have those concerns. So, tell me a little bit about him, why you were so ambitious, why you were so aggressive, because you gave up a decent amount. I think you would agree on that. So tell me why you decided to go as far as you did.
Well, because look, you know this. I think our fans know this. We're trying to do two things at once. We're trying to win now, and we're trying to build for the long-term success of the club. This is part of the long-term success plan, and David. David's a good player. He's a high draft pick. We don't feel that we're going to be drafting in a position to get a player like this for a long time. So it was worth the investment. We don't have a bigger, he's a different right-hand shot defenseman than Faber.
How so?
And he's bigger, like taller, a little lankier, longer. Doesn't skates differently than Faber. And I think, right now, like, I think David's got a long way to go in a good way. Like, there's a lot of untapped potential, we felt. And we just want to make sure that we're developing him properly to have long-term success with us, to help us win down the line. So a bit of a glimpse into the future. I really felt it was worth it. When your amateur staff and your pro staff, your analytics all line up together, and the actual guys that are in charge of all that stuff are pushing you to do it, like the way my guys were pushing me, you do it. And look, he's not a finished product. We want to develop him properly and have him be a part of what we're doing here for a long time.
Also, we're chatting with Wild General Manager Bill Guerin. I want to mix and match because, in fact, we've gotten a lot of texts wanting to get some things from you about the Four Nations roster, because you're obviously in the middle of that. So tell me what this process, I mean, there's a part of me that would think it's fun as hell because you've got such great talent from which to choose, but I also would think it might be, kind of a pain in the butt in some ways because they're tough decisions, obviously, that had to be made. How have you found this process, and how did it go in this case?
I've been having the time of my life with this. I honestly, the people that I get to work with every day, we are talking about that are going to represent the United States, this has never been better. And I'm so fortunate to be in that position, like not a pain in the butt at all. I love it. And yeah, you know what? Difficult decisions, but I'm fortunate enough to be in the spot to make those. And yeah, there were some crappy phone calls along the way, but there were some really great ones too. And there are a lot of different ways, I guess, to represent your country, and for us, this is it. It's hockey, and we're just in such a amazing position to be able to do this. So I've had the time of my life doing it.
Did you see the quote from your head coach, Mike Sullivan, that was in The Athletic today, or maybe it was yesterday? I don't know when the story dropped, about the collection of characters. He says there are a lot of laughs, I'll tell you that, and nobody's funnier than Billy G. He just has an uncanny way to get everybody laughing at some of the most inopportune times. So are you kind of the Shecky Green of the group? Are you kind of cracking people up with the one-liners?
Listen, we gotta have fun with this too.
Yeah.
You know what? This is the opportunity of a lifetime. That doesn't mean you have to be in there slamming your head against the wall, no smiles. Like I've been in cultures or atmospheres like that, and in my experience, it doesn't work. And I do like to have fun. I do like to crack a joke. I don't like, hey, if we take ourselves too seriously, I mean, come on, like. I always tell my kids, and they laughed at me forever, if you can't take a joke, you are the joke. And you just gotta, we have to enjoy this. We work just as hard or harder than anybody, but you know what? I'm going to enjoy myself doing it. And I'm going to enjoy the company that I'm fortunate to be around and the job that I get to do. I am going to laugh. I am going to focus. I am going to get my job done. I'm going to make tough decisions, but we're going to have a damn good time doing it.
Let me read, because one of the questions, you know how the media operates.
It's Sully. Sully's pretty funny too.
Is he pretty good? He's got a pretty good sense of humor.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's got a really good sense of humor.
So, Media Jackals being what we are, if the players, the really good players who aren't selected, they become snubs, right? That's the term that's used. I know I had a hunch you wouldn't love it. In that classification, I want to read you something. This is from the Athletic story to get your view on it. They mention Cole Caulfield leads all American NHLers with 16 goals, yet despite the tournament starting in his home arena, and having earned management's respect at the World Championship, the flashy scorer was left off the roster. Same with a couple of others. Tough choices, but the U.S. management group felt that Caulfield, for example, would have to conform to being a fourth liner and that other players would be better suited for that role in addition to killing penalties. In essence, he was too much like Boldy and Jack Hughes. Is that fair? I mean, they mentioned a couple of others who might fall into that classification as well, that's part of what you have to do when you're fitting this thing and building a roster. It's not just all-stars, I would assume. It's pieces that make more sense to fit together. But is that hard for some of those players to swallow? What's your view on what was written there?
No, I don't disagree with it. You know what? Look, exactly what you said. We're trying to put together a team. This is not an all-star game. I'll tell you what, and like Cole's name has come up a lot, him and Tage Thompson. They're excellent players. They're having fantastic years. We just felt other players were fitting what we were trying to do for now. Great conversations with both of them, and they both handled it like gentlemen, like professionals. They were supportive. They were encouraging for the team, and they said they'd be there when we needed them. And to me, that's the big thing, is how they handled it. They were men about it, and I love that. And we just, like I said, we have to make tough decisions. We felt that these were the decisions that needed to be made, and we moved forward with it. I hate the word snub because it's just so. I get it. Like, people say, "Oh, they got snubbed." They didn't get snub. Is such a
it's a negative connotation for sure.
It's such a negative word, and that's typical for
it's the media. We are in the media.
They just want to get clicks and just.
Well, I don't know.
That's such a shit word.
Well, I'll give you another reason that you're not going to like for why it might be used for headline. Headline writers have the challenge of using just a few words to fit the headline space, especially back when newspapers actually were printed. Of course, those days are kind of almost gone. So snub, it's a short word. So it sometimes that's one of the reasons. I used to have to. I started my career on the copy desk. I wasn't a writer. I copy edited other people's stories, had to write headlines. And if you're a headline writer, you love the short words because you only got so many characters to fit in the headline space. So that might also be one of the reasons that snub is occasionally used. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. That it really does. What I don't like is, what I hate? I hate this age of clickbait.
Yes. Well,
and when people just need clicks to do this and do that, so they put these crappy headlines out that aren't necessarily true or accurate or whatever, and they get clicks and that's great for them.
Yeah, we could do 2 hours.
And I know we're all trying to make a living here.
Yeah, right.
But it's not always accurate, and it's not always fair, and it's not. And I know, hey, look, as professional athletes and people in pro sports, we sign up for it. I get it,
right?
But you know what? There are people on the other end of it, and it goes to other. I mean, obviously, it goes to other professions and walks of life. But I don't know. I just don't like it.
We've been very positive about the team because the team has played really well. There should be no difficulty when the team plays well talking about them in the way we do. But it's your job to worry. It's your job to, not celebrate too much, right? There's that balancing act that in your job you have to do. So what is there anything that worries you? I've seen a couple of analysis talk about, look, there's still some special teams issues here that need to get better and need to be addressed if there's any chance to try to, to maintain this. How do you feel about that? Is that where your concerns are or elsewhere? If they're at all?
Not necessarily like that. I think that's for the experts, Well, like I said, okay, we're so great. We're in first place. And then people say, yeah, they're in first place. Yeah, but it's like this. Well, I mean, okay, so we're in first place, but in a certain way that's not likable for you. Okay, what the hell do you want us to do? We're in first place. I mean, but for me, the biggest thing is our attitude, is our mindset. My dad gave me one of the greatest lessons in life, and he would always be on me. He would always say, stay humble. And I think that's what we need to do right now. We need to stay humble, realize where we are, appreciate where we are, and realize what got us there, and continue to do it. Don't let it slide. I think we need to push ourselves right now.
So, well, go ahead. Sorry.
We need to expect even more out of ourselves and push hard.
So when one of the Jackals writes, the Wild do not generate a high volume of quality scoring chances, they rank 27th with just 2.25 expected goals per 60 at 5-on-5. Yeah. I know that's one of your favorite analytic stats, and yet their actual 5-on-5 scoring rate ranks just outside the top 10. We should expect a bit of a slowdown there moving forward. You say what?
I don't know. Honestly, great stats. Awesome. We'll see. I don't know what to say about something like that. Like, so somebody's trying to predict the future. We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, great on your goals expected and all this shit. Honestly, that pisses me off. It's just,
far be it from me to get you going. I never try.
Honestly, like, it's not you, but I'm glad you bring it up because you know what? So, I mean, God, what would you rather us have a great power play and be in middle of the pack, or number one penalty kill and be 20th? I don't know. I don't know what else to say. You know what? We're having a great year.
You're having a great year. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, we're having a great year. We have the leading scorer in the league who's having a career year. We have all these young players doing good, great stuff. I understand what people are saying, but, hey, maybe some people that look at it like that because they don't really understand the game well enough. And they can only rely on the numbers. I don't know.
And so what you are encouraged by, as much as the record, maybe more, in terms of the ability to potentially sustain, is the mindset, would you say? Is it the habits that are being grown here during this period that you think that's what can make this sustainable? Although it'd be pretty hard to, obviously, you guys, record-wise, I mean, you're at the top of the list. That's not going to be necessarily easy for anybody to sustain. But is that what it is that you're most encouraged by then?
It's the human side of it. Don't get a big head. Don't think we're world beaters. You know what? Stay humble. Act the right way. Do the right thing. Approach the game the right way. Come to work ready to be detailed. All those things. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We've had a good 27 games, 30 games. I'm very proud of our team.
Yeah, this is more than 10 games now. Yeah, but this is a larger sample size now we're talking about, right?
This is not a good start anymore.
Right.
This is not. We need to continue this, but I just don't. I don't know. I guess some people that write that, like, they must never be happy. Like, what the hell is going to make you happy? Like, I don't know. And, hey, if I can't make that person happy, then, hey, so be it.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to lose any sleep over it, but I'm glad it got you. I'm glad it got you fired up.
If I couldn't make you happy,
well, that'd be different. I know. Then it would be very different, would it not? Yeah, for sure.
I'd sleep like a baby.
for sure. All
I'd
right.
be very upset.
On that note, we'll let you go. Great to catch up. We'll stay in touch. I hope, let's see, what's the date? I don't know if we'll talk, if we don't talk before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all those sorts of things. But, well, it's December, what is it today, the 5th? We still might get you before then. I don't know. But
I know how you are. You'll watch our next 5 or 6 games and see how we do.
Well, that's some of
and
it.
that will determine whether I get to come back or not.
Well, that I'm not going to lie. That
Get
might
your
be some of it.
expected goals up a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll consider having you back.
Exactly.
That's it.
Thank you. Get
The 5-on-5 numbers up a little bit on expected goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Per 60.
We'll try to drop the middle of the pack, but get those stupid numbers up.
That's it. Well, I feel like it was a good conversation because we got the S word out of you twice.
I had to work.
And Guardsy then has to work a little bit extra because, we got that dump button that we occasionally have to use, but I think you're the only general manager we have to use it with. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure.
But you know what? I shouldn't do that. I get a little ticked off, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to.
Yeah. Get it out of your system, man. You don't want it to build up.
You know what? What's fair is fair.
Yeah.
And,
there's no arguing at the start of the season. No, and more than, like you said, the start of the season. It's been a fabulous run. I got to believe even more than you could have hoped for to this point. So we'll see where it goes. You're well aware, of course, with each Kaprizov goal, the price tag's probably going up. But you guys are ready. I've told people, you guys are ready for all that. I don't think there's a number that can scare you on Kaprizov.
No. Listen, we want to be fair, and we just want him here. And you heard Craig, and we really believe that this is a great place for Kirill, a great relationship, and the ability to do what he can do, and hopefully one day be a champion.
Oh, wait a minute! I thought he wanted to go to the Blackhawks. That's what I read a few weeks ago. That he was.
How
about that? How about that story? You love that.
I don't want to hit the dump button again.
Some writers get a little excited and a little ahead of themselves, and they could get themselves in trouble.
Well, I think there was a backpedal done on that one in particular. I think there was even an awareness on the part of that particular writer. Great to catch up. As always, my friend, we will talk soon. Thanks, Billy.
Okay, my friend. Thank you.
That's Bill Guerin, the Wild general manager. There are very few quite like him. A lot of texts have coming in reacting to our discussion with a very fired up Bill Guerin, including this one ripping you, Guardsy, perhaps unfairly. I love the fire and brimstone from Guerin, but is Guardsy asleep at the wheel with the dump button? Or is it because I'm on the iHeartRadio app? You've answered your own question.
Thank you.
The rules, legally speaking, are different. Between what is broadcast over FM 100.3 The Fan. That's what the dump button deals with. The dump button has no impact, I don't think, if you are listening online. Is that correct?
Yes, I cannot dump anything that goes on the stream, and the stream is not governed by the same federal guidelines. So we're told. That's the information that we've been given
thus far.
Yeah, we haven't been fined yet.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
Thankfully, though, who was it? Remember, we got this new board over here, and no one really cares about this, but for 20 years, we had the same board that I sit in front of, and the dump button was always in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got the new board, which is great, it can do all these different things, and we can bring Salisbury in very easily and the whole bit. Somebody swore like day 3 of the new board, and I went to look for the button and had no idea where it was. Thankfully, you still have yours right in front of you.
I do, yes, although I didn't use it. I dumbly looked at you.
But I was right on it this time. But it took me a minute because I had no idea where it was before that, because it just doesn't happen very often.
Well, see, and the word he used, I guess part of my indecision is I don't know where that is in the lexicon. Is that considered? Because I think some people believe it's not a great word that you want to use a lot or that you want to have over the air a lot, but that it's not one that has to be dumped. So I don't know if we have any sort of specific policy on which words absolutely positively must be dumped.
Yeah.
And which can't. I mean, for me, who also uses that word occasionally, Robert Smith, We've done that with him.
Yeah.
And for me, when you're on a talk show as the host and the people on with you are, knowing it's a radio show, not a podcast, are just that relaxed and or that annoyed or that whatever it is, that they're just going almost like they forget.
Yep.
They're doing a mic. That's gold, right? That's what
dream.
You're looking for, and that's obviously what Guerin represents as well. So, look, we've said this a million times, and I know he believes this too, that nothing can be won in November or December. But as we discussed yesterday, what you can do is try to set the wheels in motion. And again, that's what the Wolves did a year ago. And we did all the caveats, remember? Haven't won anything.
Yep.
Haven't even won a playoff series yet. We time out because people would start texting, well, what have they done? And we say, well, they haven't done anything. But it looks different. It feels different. The record is definitely different. And you feel like, well, there's some things in place that put you in a better position to maximize, to make something of your start. And in this case, in the case of the Wild, how many games have we played already? Is it 30, he said?
Something like that, yeah.
You want to do the math on that? It's an 82-game season.
I better not.
I don't want to do it.
No.
We had enough trouble with that earlier.
Yeah.
But I can't do this math. 41 games is halfway through. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So you're 10 games short of halfway through. And that means that it is more than just, cute little start, a couple of nice weeks to get things started. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it does look and feel different, just like with the Wolves it did last year, too, that I really do believe, to me, what the regular season should always be about is, even if there are no guarantees with this, I said this to Guerin, you build habits, and those habits come in handy where you've established this is how we play, or this is what happens when we play this way, and then you hearken back to it. You fall back on it, right, in difficult situations. Well, we've done this the last 10 or 12 out of the last 14 games, and it becomes, like I said, kind of what you're about. That's the key issue.
Wild hockey.
Wild hockey is what we're calling it in what you like to call the state of hockey.
Show wrap brought to you by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper show wrap.
United Healthcare executive Brian Thompson, the chief executive there, shot in the back in Midtown Manhattan. Investigation continues. There are a number of people, as we talked about with Kessler, online via various social media sites who have reveled in this assassination. That includes a clown named Anthony Zenkus, who wrote, "Today we mourn the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, gunned down." Oh, wait, I'm sorry. "Today we mourn the deaths of the 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year so that insurance company execs like Brian Thompson can become multimillionaires." Zenkus, for the record, is the director of education at something called the Safe Center, a victim services agency on Long Island, providing services for survivors of family violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. You really can't make that up. Quick thread I want to get through real quick in our final minutes from one of my favorite follows on Twitter, History Boomer, who says the thread is about an insurance agency, insurance equaling murder thread, speaking to what Zenkus and many others have suggested. Insurance company didn't give Bob money, he died. Insurance companies are murderers. Okay, take insurance company A, call it Big Scalpel. Big Scalpel has $1 billion a year to pay out to healthcare providers for patients, but the healthcare providers asked for $2 billion in payments. Big Scalpel had to turn down some of those requirements or go broke. They set up complicated algorithms to turn down payment requests and keep some profit, yes, for themselves. Inevitably, some of their choices turn down the wrong people. People like Bob die. This is bad. But healthcare is not an unlimited resource, and there are not unlimited doctors and nurses. Someone has to pay. If it were socialized healthcare, he writes, like England, it would be free. But instead of money, healthcare in England costs what? Time. You often have to wait for procedures because, again, there are not unlimited doctors and nurses. And people die on wait lists. A 2023 Guardian article reported 120,695 people died awaiting treatment. Record numbers of people spending their final months in pain and agony waiting for treatment that never arrives. He quotes from that particular piece from Wes Streeting, the Shadow Health Secretary. This doesn't mean, History Boomer writes, insurance companies are the best way to handle healthcare allocation. But whatever way you do handle it, some people will get hurt and some will die. This does not make the people in charge, whether NHS bureaucrats or U.S. insurance executives, murderers. It's the kind of nuance. And by the way, he ain't standing tall for the insurance industry. He's not saying that they don't need to be very carefully investigated and many times need to be corrected. But what he's saying is you can feel better about yourself by reveling in an assassination, but you're leaving out, and also, one could say, extrapolating out numbers that may or may not even be provable or accurate to get yourself, I guess, give your a pat on the back for your performative moment, but that the reality of this thing is a lot different. And I happen to be in the group, Guardsy, who believes that once you go down the road of delighting and gloating in somebody else's death, something dies in you. I really believe that.
100%.
And again, I'm not any kind of a shill for insurance. They are not above criticism by any means. But you lose a little, maybe a lot of your own humanity. And I think it's an important thing to point out as we wrap things up today. Vikings programming, Thursday Night Football on the Fan. I am out tomorrow. Prediction segment was today at between 4 and 5 or 4:30 if you want a podcast. And I'll be back, I think, as soon as Monday. Have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend.